Hi guys, welcome back to America's Freedom Media. This is your commentator, the Angry American. I'm talking to you today about the Justine Damon murder by the Minneapolis Police Department, Officer Mohammed Noor. I've got some information for you. I've got the transcripts of the 911 call. I'd like you to go over those, and I'd like to go over those with you. I'd like you to watch these clips that I've got from the local news up there, and I'll be right back with you. Thank you.
Authorities have released the transcripts from the 40-year-old Australian woman's call to 911 that brought Minneapolis police to her home before she was shot and killed by an officer. KARE 11's Lindsay Sievert breaks down what was said during that call and has new reaction on the shooting from Governor Dayton. Lindsay?
Randy, these newly released records show Damon called 911 because she heard a woman screaming. She thought she heard a rape or sexual assault, not knowing she would be intervening to help a stranger in the last act of her life. Damon told the 911 operator she wondered if a woman behind her home was, quote, being raped, saying, quote, I think she just yelled out help, and the sound has been going on for a while. The operator then asked, you're just hearing a female screaming then? Damon replied, yeah, it sounds distressed.
It's a horrible tragedy.
Governor Dayton spoke for the first time publicly about Damon's death today.
I placed a call to Mr. Damon, as well as to the Australian consulate in Chicago.
He addressed the lack of body camera footage.
There's no reason why those two officers didn't have their body cams on and working, nor their dash cam working. They were going to an active call.
The importance of the training,
violent call,
the funds that the legislature provided.
Damon called 911 a second time, 8 minutes after her first call, saying, quote, no one's here, was wondering if they got the address wrong. What transpired next is still unknown, but records show 16 minutes later, a woman who helped others find inner peace.
Feel that light as unconditional love.
Was declared dead. Now, among the other documents released today, the complaints against the two officers at MPD. Officer Harity has one open complaint. He was the officer driving. Officer Noor, who fired that shot, according to records, has two open complaints. Randy?
All right. Thank you, Lindsay.
As they drove through the alley, the BCA says a loud sound startled Officer Harity, who was driving. They say immediately afterwards, Damon approached the driver's side window, and that officer, Officer Noor, fired his gun across his partner through the open window, hitting Damon. Mary McGuire joins us now live in Minneapolis. And Mary, have you had a chance to look at those 911 transcripts?
Well, Allie, like you mentioned, those transcripts were released just moments ago, and that only happened after Justine's own family was able to look at them first. The Star Tribune reports that Justine, around 11:30 on Saturday night, she heard someone yelling help in the back of her home. That's when she called 911 to report a possible rape. This all comes as folks in her home country of Australia and her adopted state of Minnesota mourn her loss. You can see that this memorial behind me is growing at the place that she worked. Now, here in Minneapolis, her friends gathered for a Healing Hands Circle last night in her honor as well. Thousands of miles away in her native Australia, nearly 300 people, including her father, gathered on a beach to pay a silent tribute. Mourners tossed pink blossoms into the Pacific Ocean in memory of the yoga and meditation teacher. As the search for healing continues, so does the search for answers. The BCA only interviewed Matthew Harity, the other Minneapolis police officer who was in that squad car with Officer Noor at the time of that shooting. We reached out to Harity's attorney this morning about that loud noise he says he heard before the shooting. He tells us it is reasonable to assume an officer in that situation would be concerned about a possible ambush. Noor declined to be interviewed, and there is no indication from Noor's attorney as to whether or not an interview will happen in the future. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull is joining those begging for more information, saying he is demanding answers on behalf of Damon's family.
Well, guys, sorry. The transcripts that I included in my video, you can't really read them that well, but in my description box you'll find a link for the website that I pulled them from. You'll be able to go there and you'll be able to read the transcripts in length, and they'll be so much better. I do apologize for that. And also from the computer graphics that the news report put in to the video that I pulled from their website, you can tell the computer graphics. Officer Nort pulled his weapon, shot across the chest of his partner out of an open window, murdering Damon, which is horrible in and of itself, but someone who was supposed to be a trained police officer, spooked by a loud noise so much that he pulled his weapon, risked his partner's life in order to murder someone else. That is a person who should not be a police officer, should never have been a police officer. It goes to show you that affirmative action does not work. The people from Somalia and sub-Saharan Africa, they have an average IQ of about 70 to 80. And that's pretty close to the retarded level, not to be politically incorrect. Well, actually, to be politically incorrect. That's very close to the level that's considered retarded. And someone like that should not be a police officer. They should not have access to a firearm, because in this case, giving that man a firearm has cost a lady her life. Not to mention, he is obviously not qualified to be a police officer. He has 3 complaints against him so far. 1 disciplinary action closed and 2 open at this point. Well, I'd like to ask you to please pray for Justine's family. Pray for more answers to come from the administration of the Minneapolis Police Department. I've heard today that the chief of police was forced to resign, which is a good thing. Just please pray for her family, and please pray for her. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.
Whoa!